Why, hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the Mental Health Hour. This is episode 6, Ground Yourself. Tonight I figured we could discuss some grounding techniques as far as, getting ourselves recentered because last week we talked about triggers um, in episode 4 um, before Gemma's broadcast. And speaking of Gemma, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm not too bad, thank you. Honored to be here again.
Yes. So Gemma's going to be more of a permanent fixture here. Um, it's much easier, I think, to do a broadcast with a co-host, so you can banter back and forth rather than me just trying to think of everything I'm trying to say and by myself to nobody.
Two heads
So,
better than one, eh?
that's right. So, um, anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. So basically, with grounding techniques, um, I always tried. Hi, Danny. I've always tried to, um, you know, I want to find things that work specifically for me. I've tried a bunch of different grounding techniques to find the ones that I like best. Um, so what this was all new to me, obviously. Everything from yoga to meditation to aromatherapy to um, just deep breathing exercises. Um, I've found for myself that since I'm quite a fidgety person, um, anything like with the hands, just like doing
Yeah.
this kind of stuff and breathing, or I have a Rubik's cube that I use that helps me. That's specific for me. What about you, Gemma? Do you have anything that you enjoy the
Well,
most?
Rubik's Cube for a start, I'd end up throwing it through the window, so that's definitely no for me. But I do have the fidgets and things, like the spinners. Um,
Yeah,
I I'm also like quite with my hands, and I find things like the little fidgets and things. They're all the craze at the moment. You can get like these poppers and things. But
yes, I've seen
uh,
those.
yeah, I find them quite because I'm always doing something with my hands. Like one of the big things, I tend to twiddle my hair a lot. um, but um, when I get really, really anxious, like breathing, I tend to do it like if I get that bad in a bag or something, just to calm me. But music or I've got like one of the diffusers that you have in your house and you can put
Yeah,
oils and things in them. I use those and just try and breathe that in, like to help me. Because I find that helps. But then just sometimes going out and a change of scenery is things like that help.
absolutely.
Or counting, just like trying to remember things, stuff like that. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
incense. Yep.
mm,
Um, you mentioned music. Music is a huge part of my life as well.
yeah.
Um, I've been playing music on different instruments. I grew up playing the drum set. Now that's not very relaxing, but I enjoy it. But then I've self-taught myself some piano and guitar.
Oh wow.
The piano is actually really grounding. It's very therapeutic, and I really enjoy that one the most as far as relaxing myself. And the importance with we I touched on it a bit in my triggers episode. The importance of the grounding technique is by far, I mean, first and foremost, if let's just say you're triggered about something has you triggered. First and foremost, you need to detach yourself from that trigger.
Mm,
Um, uh, in order for us to start coping and managing it, instead of folding and isolating. You need to detach yourself from it. So remove yourself from the immediate area. Um, hey, Bo, thanks for the super heart. And remove yourself from the immediate area or whatever situation might be bothering you, and then focus on recentering yourself. And that's where the grounding techniques come in. You're going to want to, it's going to allow you to just take a step back, and even if you have to be by yourself, and just recenter and get, you know, kind of zen feeling again. That way you can move forward. So, yeah, I've been known to take a step away from whatever was bothering me, and just make, even if it's just 5 minutes, just get
Yeah.
myself back to center.
It's so easy to get like triggered by certain things. Like I know quite a while back I was watching something on the TV and it was completely unexpected, but there was a storyline in there that took me back to something in the past. And that really got me like quite wound up with things. So I had to recognize that that was what was doing that to me and take myself away from that. Like I was just doing it then. Like I find this like going fast and concentrating that because if you don't have something, like we were saying with my hand, I'm quite hands, but um, it's like trying to recognize what the trigger is sometimes as well. Because certain times, like for myself especially, I've been triggered by things and I've had to think like what's caused that, what's doing this to me.
Sure, it's hard to tell sometimes.
Mm.
Um, and I believe I touched on that briefly, that you're not always going to know what's got you upset. Um, Unfortunately, and if anything in the mental health field was that easy, uh, then we probably wouldn't have too much in the way of problems here.
Mm.
Um, if you could just easily identify everything and make changes. But
Oh,
so, you've mentioned that you found a nice article or something with some grounding techniques. Would you care to
yeah,
share some?
yeah,
Maybe
sure.
that we're missing out on, or
There's loads actually. It says that I think there's 30 on it. One of them says about putting your hands in water. Focus on the water's temperature and how it feels on your fingertips, palms, and the backs of your hands.
huh?
Does it feel the same on each part of your hands? Use warm water first, then cold. Try to switch between the two. Does it feel different? It's like, I guess, getting you to focus on something else. Not
Yeah,
something easy.
that's specifically hitting the
Mm,
5 sentences. That sounds like a mindfulness exercise.
yeah, yeah. It's like this one as well. Like, pick up or touch items near you. So again, that's getting you to focus on something else. Are the things that you touch hard or soft, heavy or light, warm or cold? Focus on the texture and color of each item. Like, again, that's more like the mindfulness side of things. Now, I've always struggled
Hmm.
with that personally because I really find it hard to focus. Basically, I'm more of a hands-on person, whereas I really struggle to meditate and do all those things. Um, Breathe deeply. Slowly inhale, exhale. If it helps, you can say or think in, out with each breath. Feel each breath filling your lungs and how it feels to push it back out again.
Yes, that's
Uh,
yep. More mindfulness there as well. Just
mhm.
everything about being in the moment. Let me look at a comment here. Trying to accept mental health issues whilst having others wanting you to be as they are is pulling back and forth. Long baths helps. I have been known to um, enjoy a nice hot shower every now and again when I can't say that I've ever gotten in for a soak in the tub, but bath salts, yep.
Mm.
And Bo wants my hoodie. Bo, what are you talking about? Go ahead with some more.
Yeah. So like it says, savor a food or drink. Take small bites or sips of a food or beverage you enjoy, letting yourself taste fully each bite. Think about how it tastes and smells. So there's an awful lot of mindfulness on here.
Yeah.
Take a short walk. That's something I tend to do, but again, it depends what kind of frame of mind I'm in. Because I've also found that that can sometimes be detrimental for me, depending on how far I've gotten with things.
Mm-hmm.
Hold a piece of ice. Now I mentioned that last time because that's that's what they try and teach you when you're doing this the self harm rather
Yeah.
than to
So,
hold
so,
ice.
so when you did that, um, and I might be, I might have taken it the in the incorrect sense. When you were holding the ice instead of self harm, was
Mm.
that more? Is that I immediately thought that it was painful. If
It
you
can be
grip a
if you
piece of
hold it.
ice,
Yeah, if you hold it hard enough and long enough, it can actually start to cause a pain. Um,
right?
like certainly if it's a big enough piece, because I used to hold it really really hard, to the point where it would like fair dig in and it would cause pain till it becomes numb.
Now,
And
did
yeah,
they have you? Did they have you, or did they suggest doing this instead of self harm, as far as for the pain release or what have you, or is this was this supposed to be more of a recentering?
um, a little bit of both, I think. But yeah, certainly the group that I went to was about trying to find alternative ways to self harming that was dangerous. And because when I went there, I'd been cutting and overdosing. That was my main two go to things. Certainly with the cutting, because often it wasn't about the cutting, it was about seeing the actual blood and taking the pain from the mind and from the heart and putting it where I want to put it. And
Yes.
they were telling us to do that because it would cause that instant ouch that you get with the cutting. And it to a degree it does. Like with the rubber band thing, if you put it round your wrist and pull hard enough and let it twang back, you get the instant ouch. And that's what they were trying to do, as opposed to like cutting yourself, say for example, where yeah, you get the ouch, but it can potentially, if you go through a major artery, it can potentially end fatally for you.
Yes. So it seems like I was on the right path there. Like it's more of a like a release, like you were talking about, um, for you,
Mm,
much like harming yourself just kind of gave you that release. I'm gonna go back here, look real quick, try and incorporate some more
yeah.
comments. Um, Failure is hard to accept, especially when always trying your best. And
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, and one of the things that we learned, obviously, from my time at the center, is just kind of when you're dealing with failure, uh, you have to reframe it in your mind as it's not a failure; it's just an unsuccessful attempt, or
Mm,
um, I guess people who self harm are disappointed with themselves and fear others. I'll let you field that one.
yeah, for me, because I used to self harm, and I self harmed from certainly from the like cutting aspect since I was like 11, but it goes stems back to right until I was about 9. And for me, the self harm wasn't about that so much as when I got to a stage where something hurt me so much in my heart and in my head, it was about taking that pain and for that in that moment moving it to somewhere else. Like, I mean, it makes sense to me because that's why I did it, but to like take that pain that was in my heart and in my head and say put it on my wrist and cause that ouch, that hurts. And like sometimes if it wasn't enough, I would like get say for salt and cause it even more and just like really really go for it.
Yeah.
And it was about causing a pain that took my mind off what was going on in my heart and my head, and instantly causing a distraction, which was still a pain, but moving it and removing it from what, to me, it hurt more inside than it did physically outside. And that's what it was about for me, because I could handle the pain on the outside and I was in control of that. I was the one that was causing that. Whereas the pain that had been caused to within me wasn't something that I'd caused. So I had to, in that moment, be in charge of that, because otherwise that would escalate to the point where I would say take tablets and want to die. And there were a few occasions where that did happen, and thankfully now that obviously it didn't work, but there were a few occasions where I had to have my stomach pumped because I let it get that bad. And for me, that was why personally, that was my personal reason for doing it. And yeah, it really was painful, but honestly, that pain was nothing in relation to what was in here. I hope that helps anyway.
Oh yeah, it does sound like hi Di. It does morning. Oh morning. I forget. I'm terrible with the whole time change thing. Even dealing with our, I always have to, when I'm talking with Gemma, I always have to, plus or minus 5, because. Uh, but yeah, it sounds to me like, the self harm type release is. You mentioned that twice or 3 times that you were in control, and when everything else in your life feels out of control, there's something you can control right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that might have something.
Yeah.
But it
I
looks
guess
like
there's many
Hannah.
reasons. Yeah.
It looks
There's
like
many reasons,
Hannah
but yeah.
learned.
Hmm.
Uh, so let's get some more off of your list there, and we'll see if we can't
Yeah.
break them down.
My phone just decided to lock. Okay. I won't go through them all because some of them are a bit repetitive. Like one here that I've tried, listen to your surroundings. I tend to go outside and try and do that, or put music on. A lot of my it does mention music actually in here. Take a few moments to listen to the noises around you, like the birds, dogs barking, play music. Is there anyone talking? What are they saying? Do you recognize any of the languages or the sounds? What music is playing? It gets you to listen to, like, it mentions about what kind of music it is. Has it got words in it? Things like that.
So
Um,
let's talk about the hearing and listening sense, that I tend to forget about, but it does wind up being one of my favorite things. Um, Obviously, with music, I've said I'm big into the music, but I've stumbled on to, it's becoming more and more popular. Obviously, this ASMR stuff.
mm,
That if I need a moment or I need help falling asleep because my brain might be racing or anything like that, um, just even typing into YouTube some ASMR videos is by far one of the easiest ways that I have found to relax my body and fall asleep. I don't know. Have you tried any of the ASMR videos?
I've tried some. There's certain noises that seem to grate on me a little. Certainly like the water and things makes me need to go to the toilet. But I have the Calm app and I tend to go for the bedtime stories and things more than the ASMR.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, it depends what it is, because like I don't know. If it's the same noise throughout, I'm okay with that. If it's one that I can tolerate, but I find I get really on edge with certain ones. I don't know whether that's just my mind frame and things, but certainly with some things I struggle.
Yes, and I popped into Ella's broadcast the other night, and we got talking about the music, as she just says there, music is awesome. She was playing the old ukulele. Um, and that, yeah, it's music as a whole is just one giant grounding technique.
Mm.
Um, so it's just a lovely the Di was saying up above that. This is such a fantastic tool. Listening really helps to ground you and put you in the moment.
Yeah.
Fantastic tool. So, and it does seem, if you were to take a poll of 10 folks, I think music or some sort of listening exercise is going to be at the top of everybody's list. It's easy. It's soothing. My ukulele is my new therapist. All right, so listening, that's hit pretty big with everybody in the comments, and
Yeah.
we'll have to write that down so we can go over something like that on a later episode. But you can go ahead and
Yeah.
keep on with the list.
So, there's like mentions about playing memory games, look at detailed photographs and pictures, try and remember. It says to look for 5 to 10 seconds, turn the photograph face down, and then try and remember as many things as you can in the picture. Um, yeah, my memory's not great. I think that'd annoy me, to be honest.
Yeah, I've actually had to, keep working on sharpening my brain um, since I quit drinking because it definitely took a decline,
Mm.
um, which is sad because I was so sharp growing up and even into my 20s. Excellent memory. Um, yeah, it just all went downhill with the alcohol.
Yeah.
But things like that, while they're good grounding techniques, are also good to. It's like I do crossword puzzles. I've mentioned to re,
Mm.
try and keep working those muscles, like uh, get get sharp again.
Yeah, yeah. I need to
Playing an
work on
instrument
that.
stuff.
I think the medications that I'm on for pain cause memory problems, to be honest, but it wouldn't be surprising with what they are. I think certainly my memory's taken a decline since my medication's been increased.
Yeah. Oh, and get a bunny rabbit.
Oh,
Get
I
a
used to
puppy
have a
cat.
rabbit. I love rabbits. I have two
Ac-
cats. I find stroking animals really therapeutic.
yes, a puppy cat.
Mm.
Um, they that was on. I did notice pets hitting on a few lists that I've looked at.
Yeah.
Obviously they have therapy dogs. You can sign up. There's multiple websites you can sign up to get a therapy dog. Dogs are
Mm.
wonderful. I mean, I've always been a dog person. I don't have anything against cats. It's just growing up, we always had dogs. Um, so just like a Labrador Retriever, his whole purpose in life, his or her, almost is almost 100% to please you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you'll notice that in that breed of animal. But
Mm.
uh, puppy cat saved me many times, and I'm sure you've saved puppy cat.
Yeah, for sure. I had a dog when I was growing up. Um, a really quick story. Like when I was born, I had casts on both my legs, and I couldn't walk, obviously, because I from the waist down. I had casts on both legs, and I didn't start walking till I was about 2 or 3. And when I started walking, I was put in this horse box full of dogs, and I ended up being given this dog who saw me right through till I was 16. And often I'd sit in my room and talk to the dog about lots of things. And I was so heartbroken when he died that I swore I'd never get another. But it was more getting a cat because I had a young child and because I'm not great on my feet anymore. But my mum and dad have a Labrador, and honestly, they are just so, like you say, so wanting to please you all the time, and just having that company is just amazing. Any
Yeah,
animal.
Yes. Hi there, emu army from Bo. Bo and his emus. All right. um, how's the list working on your end? Do you still have some more?
It mentions about playing number games, things like that. Um, where are we? There's some of them that are quite repetitive, to be honest. There's one here. This is definitely mindfulness, and I would imagine take quite a bit to do. But it's about when you find the trigger, imagine yourself leaving the painful feelings behind. So picture yourself gathering the emotions, balling them up and putting them into a box. Walking, swimming, biking, or jogging away from those painful feelings. Imagine your thoughts as a song or a TV show that you dislike, changing the channel or turning down the volume. They're still there, but you don't have to listen to them.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, that I'd find that hard. I mean, when I had my counseling session the other week, I was told to picture myself doing something that I need to do that I haven't yet done, but picture it as though I'm watching myself on TV doing this particular challenge. And I had to like talk about the entire thing about how I got there, what I was wearing, what I was doing, what I saw on the way past, things
Hmm.
like that. And I mean, it did kind of help because it's made me want to actually go and do that thing now.
Right.
Um, it's like basically when I talked about where I was attacked and raped last time, and right in that location is one of the offices that I need to visit for some forms and paperwork. And I had to picture going there and like driving there, getting out of the car and going over to there, going into the office, picking the papers up, and going into so much detail about it that the actual event that happened years ago didn't really come to mind, even though he was asking me all this time, what are you feeling? How do you feel? And how do you feel now you've gone and got those things?
Hmm.
And it was difficult, like, but I mean, having someone there to go through it with me was hard. I would imagine doing it yourself is quite hard.
Hmm. You both seem like lovely people. Glad I found you both. Well, welcome in, and
Yeah.
as always, thank you very much for the awards along the way. I found this one that I'd like to go over because whenever I mention grounding techniques to whether I'm talking to one of my sponsees in AA or just anybody, everybody seems to migrate to this one called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you, Ella, for
yeah.
so this one breaks it down. There's multiple ways you can do this, but this one breaks it down. Or what are 5 things you can see, and then
Mm,
4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Now, obviously, you could do that in any order, but it plays off of the 5 senses. We've talked sensory
mm,
grounding techniques are quite um, prevalent, and they play well into the mindfulness of everything. Mindfulness, the big buzzword of the mental health field right now. Have you tried the 5-4-3-2-1?
I have actually. Yeah, it's on this list as well. I have. I think I actually tried it as close as last week. I think for me it depends on how far I've gotten along with my trigger. Like if I can catch it soon enough, then I'm all right with it. But otherwise, I find it difficult to bring myself to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. This one. While I hear a lot about it, like I said, and everybody seems to know about it, um, it seems like a very in depth. You know, you got to really sit down and think about. And when I'm triggered, or need to ground, I like something quick and
Mm,
not really brain intensive on the brain. I just want it to be like
yeah.
second nature. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I get that. I'm the same. I like something. I'm more of a hands-on, physical kind of person. I need to be doing something and doing something that's going to be quite a quick fix rather than having to really, really think things over.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Mm,
just it's just something there's something with the quickness like you just said, something
mm,
nice and simple and not labor intensive on the brain. Not that necessarily this is the 5 4 3 2 1 is labor intensive. It just seems
mm.
long and drawn out and a lot of thinking. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, where I just want that, like as you said, quick fix. Like
yeah.
I just want want to do something like hold. I use a also use a worry stone. I don't have it with me right now, but it's basically just a small, smooth piece of stone rock, and you just sit and rub it with your thumb.
Yeah.
Um,
I have
eh,
been on my neck.
oh, there you go.
There we go. That's what I have these for. Like they're supposed to be like the healing crystals, but because it's got the textures on it and the smoothness, that's exactly what I do with this.
Yes. And what can you explain more for the viewers and for me even about the healing crystals? Because I don't know a whole lot about that. I know probably you and Veda and Intuitive
Yeah,
Dye.
I have quite a lot of them actually. Um I've been collecting them for many years. This is an opal. So like there's many different ones and they're supposed to have like different healing properties. Like if I can get right up to the camera with it. And there
Hmm.
and it's got like the smooth back as well so that I can do just that. But each one's supposed to have different properties. I don't have it on as well, but I've got like a little cage with one in and you can put like essential oils so you've got the smell as well. And I have this one on and then the longer cage. I've actually taken it off for now and I've left it downstairs. But with the cage one I can put it to my nose so you can get the smell as well. Which it mentions in the list about different smells and things. And I find that helps. But yeah, I certainly collect a lot of crystals, and they are supposed to have many different properties and things. I've got quite a big amethyst crystal just over there, and then I don't know if you can see um if I tilt it, can you see there's some like hung up there on the ceiling
Yes.
above my bed? I have them all over, literally all over my room. And then the dream catcher. Like I
Hmm.
don't know if there's any truth in it or anything, but I made that, and that was about like I've heard about them and stuff with the dream catchers and things, but for me that was about owning that because I made that, and it was about trying to get the negativity because I made that actually while I was going through a very bad phase, and I made that to try and overcome that trigger, and it was about owning that at the same time. And one of the broadcasts I was going to do actually was about making the dream catchers and things and talking a bit more about the crystals and the dream catchers and the oils and stuff like that. So at some point, like I'll certainly be doing that soon. So that's cool. But
Awesome.
like, yeah, I'll go into more detail about the crystals and stuff. I don't want to like totally overtake your broadcast.
Oh, no, you're not. It's our broadcast.
But yeah, hang on. Can I just point out Fraser? Like, he said don't normally talk about himself and wanted to apologize. Don't apologize at all for that's what it's here for.
Oh yeah,
And the fact that you felt that you could open up in this broadcast, that's amazing.
that is what we're
Yeah.
shooting for. Talk about yourself. Talk about um, personal stories. Um, we are here for that and want to hear more from you. Um, So absolutely. Thank you for catching that. Um, what else do we have? I'm looking at mine. The more mental exercises,
Mm,
um, but these are more simple, like counting backwards from 100. Um,
yeah.
these are things that I'll catch myself doing with laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, with the mind racing. That used to be every single night for me. But since my uh, stint at rehab and finding all these wonderful tools, it's fewer and far between now. But you still occasionally get the old racing brain, trouble falling asleep. Um,
Mm,
so I do like the counting backwards, saying the alphabet forwards and backwards, or trying to write it down on your sheet while you're laying there. Um, simple things like that. This one actually suggests counting backwards from 100 by sevens. Now that's a lot of
oh no, I
that's
couldn't do that.
yeah,
Couldn't do
yeah.
that. Fully awake, never mind half asleep.
Spell your full name and the names of three other people backwards.
Mm,
That's also just really making your brain work.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not into brain stuff. Yeah. I mean, whatever works for anybody else, like, but I like that quick instant fix.
think of an object and draw it in your mind or in the air with your finger,
Mm,
like a vehicle or your house or an animal. Um, name all your family members, their ages, and one activity they enjoy.
mm,
And obviously, there's the body awareness, the five long deep breaths. Have you heard of box breathing?
no, I haven't actually.
So box breathing was taught to us down there. I had never heard of it either. Um, but basically, all you're going to do is just you're supposed to be seated in a chair. You want to cross your legs in front of you, and
Mm,
then take your hands and put them like this against your chest, and then you breathe in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, breathe out 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4, and then you just keep repeating.
mm. I haven't.
It's very relaxing.
Oh wow, I might have to try that. I've not actually heard of that one though.
Yeah, so there's multiple breathing exercises that you can do out there. If everything from just taking deep breaths and relaxing, just spacing them apart, um, or just the more symmetrical box breathing. Um,
Mm,
multiple breathing exercises out there. Clench your hands into fists, then release the tension and repeat that 10 times. That kind of sounds like it goes along with the ice cubes as well.
yeah, yeah. You can get the stress balls and things as well, or
Oh,
just
yeah.
breathe things. Yeah.
Rub your palms together briskly. Notice the sound and feel the warmth.
Mm,
Stomp your feet on the ground several times. Pay attention to the sensations in your feet and legs.
mm,
Um, reach your hands over your head like you're trying to reach the sky. Stretch for this for 5 seconds, and then bring your arms down. And I've done that. I didn't realize it was a grounding technique, but that feels fantastic when you're stretching up as high as you can and then just releasing. Makes sense that it is a grounding technique because it does feel relaxing.
yeah.
That brings, of course, me into the thought of yoga. We'll talk about yoga for a minute because I am not obviously a yoga type of guy. Um, but down at the rehab center I went to, they had once a week we had to do yoga. And I said I was going to do everything. I was going to give everything 100% try. You
Mm,
know, and I did it, and it was actually, interestingly enough, it was semi-relaxing for me. However, it hurt, especially especially the next day. Um, so I'm not today. I'm not a big yoga guy. I
Mm.
don't I don't do much with that, but I don't know.
I've never
There's
tried it, to be honest. Never.
if I'm gonna do something of physical, not necessarily exercise, but
Mm.
um, physically get up and do something, I'm probably going out for a walk, like you had mentioned earlier, maybe a nature walk, or I've
Mm.
got a nice tree line and stuff in my backyard with a path through it, so you can go through and listen to the birds, uh,
Mm.
and all of that stuff. The ground, all of the mindfulness.
Yeah.
Listen to you walking across the sticks or whatever. Are you big into the walks?
Um, I used to be a lot more. I mean, I use a crutch now to help mobilize. I have for a while. I
Oh
still
yes.
do like walking, but obviously, like with my health and stuff, it's slowed me down quite a lot. But I certainly do like walking, and I'm quite into all the historical buildings and things. Um, I used to do a lot of exploring and things. I'm fascinated with like old buildings, and especially if they're like derelict buildings you're not supposed to go into. Um, I did a bit of that when I was younger, urban exploring, that sort of thing. Um,
Yes, there used to be a guy that I followed on Periscope. I forget his name now, but he would go through. I want to say he was in Alabama, and he would go through all these different abandoned buildings and just Periscope live the whole thing. I found that interesting as hell.
it really, I like anything like that. I'm just so fascinated with. I subscribe to a lot on YouTube. Um, there's one not far from me that I really want to go and just do a broadcast of, but I'm like, I don't know, like if I could get someone to go with me, then maybe, but I'd be terrified of like the floor going through or something.
Oh, if you weren't all the way across the pond, I would definitely jump at the opportunity to go. But
Oh, definitely love that. I'm just fascinated by things like that. I never forget when I went to Ireland, and certainly with the history in Ireland of all the like the convents and things that they had that were closed down, and I mean a lot of them weren't even boarded up. It just said no entry, and you could walk
hmm
right on in. Some of them like had the guard dogs and stuff like that. But the fact that it said
probably,
no entry, it's like asking me to go in.
yeah. Don't push this button. Sure.
Yeah.
I live in a 200-year-old converted barn in the Lake District. I'll bet that's cool. I'll
Oh
bet that's real
wow.
neat.
Whereabouts are you? Are you in the US, UK, or none of the above?
um, the YouTube and Periscope and Haps. I haven't. We haven't even mentioned Haps and all that.
Mm,
Um, as a therapy in and of itself, I don't know if it's necessarily a grounding technique or just an enjoyable activity. Um,
yeah.
but getting on and scrolling through videos of Haps broadcasts or Periscope back in the day um, was very relaxing and very. I mean, do you ever find yourself watching? More recently, it's been TikTok for me. I'll
Yeah.
go down a rabbit hole, and the next thing I know, it's like 30 to 45 minutes later, I'm still scrolling through videos.
If it's just 30 to 40 minutes later, then that's impressive because I started the other night and I think it was like 10:30. And then I looked again and it was like 2 in the morning. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. What was I doing? I'm terrible at that. I do. I just think
Oh,
have a quick flick and then hours later, I'm like, what?
yeah. It's become a real problem here lately for me. I've
Mm,
been just enveloped in the TikTok videos, but I find most of the things on there that I'm seeing or that come across my feed are either, hysterical or very, very interesting. Like just
mm,
piques my curiosity. I have to see more.
yeah,
Um, so there's all kinds of uh, good stuff out there.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
Frasier's in England.
yeah, yeah. I'm in
Well,
Leeds, so like I don't know where you are, but like more north I am. I'm a northerner.
no, I
Um, I think that's how I actually started because I remember when I split up with my ex, and it's honestly it had been the first time I'd ever lived by myself. I mean, I wasn't by myself, I had my son, but he was only a baby. And that's how it started, where I joined Periscope and I'd just sit there and surf in the maps that was on Periscope looking for people. And then I came across I don't know if you know him, Jason Stolken. He was like a comedian, voiceover, like
hmm,
voice actor, things like that.
sounds familiar.
Then I found him, and that's where I found other people. There was Doe that was in the broadcast earlier. She, like, I started speaking to a lot of the people there, and it took me a long time to actually go live myself, but certainly watching other broadcasts did help me distract from certainly like the because otherwise I'd be always at the window, every little noise, and I'd be panicking like, what was that? What was that? And
Hmm.
that was a way for me, definitely, of grounding myself and like no, like not concentrating on what was going on outside and just trying to focus on doing something else. And then it got
Yes.
to me going live, and for months and months I just went live, but walking around like Leeds City Centre and showing everything that was around, and I never once showed my face for ages. And then I started doing like my art and stuff on there. And for me, art is a huge grounding thing. Like
Oh yeah.
I do it a lot. And I can just pick up my tablet or a piece of paper and just like scrolling at whatever. But yeah, like certainly, like you say, with these, it's definitely both a distraction, not always in a good way if you should be going to bed.
Right. Exactly. And that's when I'm most um, on these programs or
Mm,
apps right at bedtime, just trying to relax, de-stress, unwind from the day. And then, yeah, like you said, next thing you know, it's quite late, and
yeah,
I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work.
there's a
Um,
4:30 in the morning. Oh my goodness, who knew? Unless the only way I know that is if I haven't gone to bed, but otherwise,
yeah,
I'm not a morning person.
it's every 3 days I get up and go to work, but yeah, I don't fancy myself a morning person either.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
good to find another focus. Mm.
Huge respect to you though for what you do and everything. Like,
Oh
oh,
well, thank you, thank you.
I can
I
imagine that.
couldn't I couldn't think of anything else that I'd like to do more. Uh,
Mm,
my dad was a firefighter, so I mean, I grew up going to the station and seeing him, and yeah, I mean, it's just since I was a little boy, I pretty much knew what I was going to do with my life. So,
yeah.
indeed. I wanted to talk real quick before we wrap it up.
Hmm.
The sound, going back to the sound and how listening is so key. There was a one on here that I saw. Call a loved one. Uh, just calling like mom or a
Mm,
significant other, maybe, or just a best friend. Um,
yeah.
I found that interesting because to be talked about as a grounding technique.
Mm,
Um, Certainly, we all think when we're in a high stress area. Following you both, thank you, Fraser.
yeah. Thank you.
Um, when we're in a high stress position, um, talking to one of our best friends or anybody really that you consider a friend,
Mm.
it can actually be very helpful. And we do it almost subconsciously. Um,
Mm.
I need to talk to so and so, my best friend, because this is a high stress problem and they always make me feel better. And yeah, it's almost like second nature, but I've never actually thought of it in the sense that it's a grounding technique.
Yeah. No, I've not
Um,
thought of it like that actually, but mm,
yeah. So that was a pretty cool one. Um,
yeah.
then you have all the smells, the aromatherapy. You said you do
Mm,
the diffusers. We
yeah.
had somebody in the comments earlier talking about incense,
Mm,
um, essential oils um, that remind you of good times, freshly cut grass, rain, clean laundry, sugar cookies, for example.
mm,
Um, Scented candles, light a scented candle that gives you the 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 smell of the scent and the visual of the fire dancing on the wick. Um, and then sniff strong peppermint. Peppermint has had a worldly benefit of soothing effect. So peppermint in general, I did not know
yeah.
that.
That's one of the oils I actually use. I'd heard that before, and in my like little the one that I have around my neck, I have peppermint quite a bit. And lavender, obviously, I think lavender most people know is quite relaxing. Um,
Lavender, yes,
mm,
yes, indeed. No, we'll do a little at the end of every broadcast. I usually do a quick review. Um, this one, there's, I mean, not a whole lot to review. Obviously, grounding techniques. Excuse me. Well, first and foremost, we'll go back to the very beginning. And uh, let's say you need to be grounded or something from a triggering event.
mm,
Um, as I mentioned before, the the whole mindset here is to detach yourself from the trigger first
hmm
and get yourself out of the situation or away from whatever harm is being caused. Isolate, or I mean detach away from that, and then the next step is recentering, and that's where your grounding techniques come in.
hmm
So it's very important to recenter ourselves, come back to center, calm down, get ourselves thinking clearly again before we can move forward and cope. Um,
mm,
it seems like from everything that we've went through tonight, uh, it's a lot of sensory. It covers a lot of the five senses, and mindfulness seems to be huge in this.
yeah.
Um, and taking a walk and using all five senses on your walk. Um, smelling, looking, watching the birds, smelling the flowers, hearing the different animals or the sticks crunching under your feet.
Mm,
Stopping to feel blades of grass or the tree. Um, all these mindfulness techniques or grounding techniques really depend on a lot of mindfulness.
mm,
Um, and music. We discussed music, how big that is in both of our lives.
yeah.
Um, and it would seem that listening as a as a whole is a favorite of a lot of people out there. Um,
Yeah. I think that's why I went into DJing because of my love of music.
oh, you DJ'd?
Yeah, I did it for about 12 years.
I
Like,
DJ'd myself. I did. I got into it as well for a little while. I DJ'd weddings, and that
oh
was a
no.
lot of fun. But it's a very that was a very drinking oriented
Mm,
exercise for me. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
Hannah says we have a lot of commonalities.
Yeah. I think when you
So,
get talking to someone like, well, anybody that's had some sort of issues with mental health or anything, like, I think you find a lot of things that you have in common. And
mhm,
that's good in a way, because when you mentioned about talking to friends and family, I didn't really have that myself. I think that's where part of the problem stemmed, and that's why I went out looking for people to talk to. And sometimes, talking to people that you don't know can sometimes help, and then meeting new people, getting familiar with other people, that certainly helped me. And some of the best friends that I have now were people like that I met on Periscope.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, just this broadcast alone here, you got Fraser would like to speak with you there, and
Hmm.
that's really something. That's
Yeah,
now
yeah,
you
she
have
messaged me.
potentially have another great connection happening
Hmm.
right here. So for the future down the road,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
that's good stuff. Did you have anything to add for the wrap up, the review?
Um, I think we've mentioned it all. To be honest, that I can think of, certainly for me.
Okay, all righty. Well, in that case, a couple of programming notes. I like to when I broadcast on Wednesdays, which I I'm really liking Wednesday night.
Hmm.
Um, I might switch it from Saturday to Wednesday. Uh, it seems to work okay for you as well.
Yeah.
Um, but when I do broadcast on Wednesdays, I like to throw Jim in Chicagoland a plug for his Catalyst broadcast tonight. I believe it's at 11 Eastern, 11 p.m. Eastern. Um, it's really great. He basically just lights a fire pit and focuses the camera on the fire the whole time, and we all
Mm.
just he just chats with everybody in the comments. It's very simple, very
Mm.
therapeutic. So if you're looking for broadcasts along those lines, there's a great one tonight. Just look out for Jim in Chicagoland. Um,
I'll tag him in the comments.
yes,
If you want.
please. And yeah, I haven't decided what I'm gonna do for Saturday, if anything. I'll definitely come. Gemma and I will definitely be back next Wednesday if she's up
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, definitely.
And well, you got some. You got your surgery coming up, so if you say you're good, then
I
I'll
should
take
be
your word.
like, it's on the Tuesday, but providing everything goes fine, I should be fine. But it's not surgery on my mouth, so I can talk.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Good night, Demi, and thank you for stopping by. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by tonight and checking us out. And thank you very much for all the awards. They're greatly appreciated. And the awards that I get, I wanted, or I've mentioned in the past, they go straight to um, my AA program that I have started up. Me and one of my colleagues at work started a first responders AA meeting. It's completely legit. It's on the AA Frederick Central Intergroup website. We started it from the ground up, and so most all the
Wow,
donations and awards that I get go straight to that
that's
to be
fantastic.
put forth for other substance abusers like myself, and so that's where that goes.
Hmm.
So, thank you, Gemma, for joining again, and it's great to have you on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. And if you uh, if you want to catch us again next week, we'll be on the same time, same place. And thank you guys,
Hmm.
and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.